and now back here in the studio with our dear distinguished guest, Dr. Milad Momtaz, the international relations expert. We're going to be talking about Gaza. But first, I wanted to ask you as well, Mr. Ambassador, about Dr. Momtaz, about the Spanish stance. I mean, it must be dearly, it is dearly appreciated by Egyptians, by Arabs, by, I guess, by all of those around the world who love or want to support just causes. They want to support the innocent people against those who kill them and practice policies of starvation against them and want to displace them from their homeland. So the Spanish people, the Spanish government, the Spanish king, who talked about Gaza here in Egypt, how do you see this position? Again, I must stress, which is dearly, dearly appreciated by us here in Egypt, and I guess across the Arab world and across the free world.
Exactly. First of all, I find it that's, you know, in my understanding, that's a very courageous situation on their side. And that is like, you know, they're doing something that's not usual for a European country, because Europe before October 7th, 2023, totally different than Europe nowadays. So that's why I'd like to highlight the change in the Spanish position, okay, from a broader perspective, the European perspective itself. I know that there are some European countries that are not convinced, you know, they don't want to take the same stance. However, you know that
it's only Germany and
Hungary. Even 2 days ago. Okay,
Germany and Hungary.
So what happened? The opening of a new synagogue by actually the chancellor. You know, but once again back to Spain. You know, Spain in my mind. Okay, and even economically speaking, we were talking about that. So Spain is a very powerful economy in Europe. And when taking such a stance, I think they are giving a very good example to everyone, as you said, not in Europe, everywhere across the world. And actually, they are sending out a very clear message that, okay, there are someone, there is actually, you know, that kind of
there are those
support.
who care. There is still, you know, mankind still exists,
exactly,
because, yeah, we started doubting this.
That just cause would find someone to support, and support it in a way. I think, in my mind, there is something else which is equivocally, you know, accurate. That is what the Spanish people themselves, you know, because politically speaking, Europe is different a little bit than the United States of America. And this is, I think, is very important to highlight. European countries and the political systems in Europe, they work differently than the United States of America. They are, okay, the multilateral or multipolar or multi-party systems in Europe. I think that's very clear. And the people in Europe, they have a very strong, you know, position. They contribute in a very actually accurate way, in a very evident way to forming their governments and, you know, guiding their governments, and they have a say. The people, they have a direct say in their government stances. And we have seen this in Spain, as you said. You know, it's very obvious about the demonstrations on the streets.
We saw what happened in the La Vuelta, España.
Yeah, and that was something that I think that's something to be proud of. You know, we see something like this.
This is what Mr. Pedro Sanchez said.
Yeah,
to
European people, and they are very much, and something else I'd like to highlight, if you don't mind, the awareness, especially when we look at the age groups. We find young men and young women and, okay, you know, like different social classes supporting that cause. I think there is something, I may put it this way, as awakening of Europe. Okay, but I think Europe before October 7th, there was some sort of like totally ignoring the situation. And I would say that, okay, intentionally ignoring the situation in the Middle East.
Because you like historic perspectives. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Spain have to do a lot with the Renaissance back in Europe at some stage?
They played very significant.
So I want to say that there is a renaissance of human conscience around the world that's taking birth in Spain right now. I mean, Spain, the Spanish people, their position, their incredible, beloved, respectable position towards what's happening must be admired by the entire free world, because there are many free people across the world, including free Jewish people. So it's not about, it's not about religions here. But what the Zionist terror, the state terror sponsored state is doing to the region, and especially to the Palestinian people, must be rejected by free people.
First of all, let me say that I'm totally convinced of what you said, okay, the analogy of what the Renaissance. And I think this has to do with what the awakening, once again, the revival, going back to the so-called human rights, because I think more or less, maybe we have forgotten about this, to a very large extent.
We have to revisit it,
Exactly. Especially when talking about something very recent, which has been going on for a while now, about the genocide and the commission of inquiry, that's affiliated to the United Nations, despite the fact that it's an independent commission or committee. So once again, they go back to 1945 and 1948, the Convention, on genocide and the Declaration of Human Rights, and all of this, I'm totally convinced. But why have you been ignoring the Palestinian cause from 1940s till today, not considering or not putting the case under the microscope of human rights? Why totally ignoring this? Because actually, I was listening to some analysts, foreign analysts, and they are taking the side of Israel. But however, they cannot defend it wholeheartedly, because they always say that October 7th, we respect, actually human beings are totally respected. However, on the other hand, you have been totally ignoring the Palestinian people. Those are human beings as well.
So, the issue didn't start on October 7th.
Exactly.
I mean, it started
as long as
almost 100. Exactly, almost 100 years ago. Before we leave the Spanish file, but Spain has the right to be mentioned whenever we talk about Gaza, because I mean, it's one of the biggest supporters of the Palestinian people in the world. I just want to mention three quick things. Again, it's regarding the Spanish people and what they are doing. It's getting to the sports world now. Not only La Vuelta a España, but Atletico Bilbao were playing a game against Juventus in the Champions League. And their fans, before the game, had this big banners and this big chants in support of the Palestinians and against the Israeli aggression. One. Second, the Israeli chess team had to withdraw from a tournament in Spain because they were not welcomed. And what I read today, and this was a shock to me, and Spain is one of the world's best in football. I mean, he had absolutely world champions in 2010, of course, and European champions many times. There was a statement by Spanish official, I don't remember who it was, saying that if Israel reaches the FIFA World Cup 2026, Spain could consider withdrawing from the World Cup if FIFA is not going to treat Israel like it treated Russia, when Russia, of course, invaded the Ukraine, and Russia were deprived of participating in the World Cup. Right. These are amazing stances. Amazing.
We've been waiting for such stances for long, by the way. We've been eager to see such strong, actually, stances. We've been actually, waiting for this for a very long time. And I think other European countries actually, they may join later on. Because actually, people themselves, as I said earlier, that it's the European people themselves. They want actually this to be stopped, the bloodshed in Gaza. It has to be stopped anyway. And as you said, about football, that's not a minor thing, by the way.
It's not.
It's not at all, because it's about people. People themselves, they feel like so. And we still recall
this could spread to the Olympics as well, if there should be movement there. Because Russia has been banned from participating in the Olympics or in football and tennis tournaments, by the way, as well.
Why would it do the same thing? If you have been talking about Russia and the Russian-Ukrainian war, and you have been actually doing this to Russia, okay, you should do the same thing to, Israel. Why not?
Well,
But
actually,
because we have double standard.
the war crimes committed by Israel, Dr. Momtaz, are incomparable, are they? I mean, nobody can compare to them. Nobody's even close.
The intent.
Nobody's even close.
Even, you know, I'm talking about the very recent, actually, you know, report.
Yeah.
It's about the intent, you know. There is a very, actually, clear intention of getting rid of the Palestinians. This is, actually, that has been acknowledged in the different reports. And by the way, okay, some people, they say that, okay, why is it late? Why actually it took them like 2 years? Actually, you know, they were thoroughly investigating the situation in Gaza to reach that kind of finding, that conclusion.
You don't need so much investigation, so many investigations, because if we're going to talk about ethnic cleansing or genocide or starvation and you name it, it's easier, as I heard it once again from a person I don't remember, but what was said is it's easier to it's difficult to ask, you know, tell me about this, the one war crime that Israel did not commit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean that's how we should pose the question. It's not which war crimes did they commit. I mean, the tougher question is which war crime did they not commit. So, Dr. Momtaz, the Doha summit. Okay, we'll watch first the report about the Doha summit. And of course, the words of His Excellency the President there, the speech of President Sisi at a Doha Arab Islamic Summit, where the President said that Israel had crossed all red lines, and of course, many other important notes that the President talked about during his speech. And then when we come back, we will ask our dear guest about what he saw from the Doha summit.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi warned that Israel has crossed all red lines and jeopardized existing peace agreements, stressing that Israel's practices threaten regional stability and the future of peace. President al-Sisi made these remarks in a speech he delivered before the Emergency Arab Islamic Summit in Doha. He said the world must recognize that Israel's policies brazenly defy international laws, established norms, and humanitarian values. The head of state warned that Israel's reckless and increasingly destabilizing conduct gravely risks broadening the scope of the conflict and plunging the region into an uncontrollable spiral of escalation. President al-Sisi stressed that Israel seeks to turn the region into a lawless arena for aggression, posing a grave threat to regional stability. He added that Israeli practices undermine international peace and security and constitute a dangerous threat to the established global order. Addressing the Israeli people, he warned that the unfolding events risk undermining the future of peace in ways that threaten Israel's security, erode opportunities for any new peace agreements, and even abort existing peace accords with the nations of the region. Egypt reiterates its call upon all members of the international community to take the necessary measures to oblige Israel to respect international law and international humanitarian law and to put an end to its blatant violations in the occupied Palestinian territories. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi delivered a comprehensive address at the summit, uniting his condemnation of Israel's recent actions with a call for a new shared Arab strategy for regional security. President al-Sisi stated that the summit is convening at a time of grave challenges, as Israel is seeking to turn the region into an open arena for aggression. He emphasized that this growing Israeli arrogance necessitates that Arab and Islamic nations work together to build a shared vision for regional security and cooperation. El-Sisi asserted that Israel's security and sovereignty will not be achieved through brute force, but by respecting international law and the sovereignty of other states.
All right, welcome back. Thank you, Manel Ebiari and Khalid Abdelbari, for this report. We're back here with Dr. Milad Momtaz, the international relations expert. Dr. Momtaz, how did you see the the Doha summit, the Arab Islamic summit that gathered 57 countries from the Arab and Muslim worlds. I wanted to ask you about two things. First of all, the president's speech, and second of all, the outcome of the summit at large.
Firstly, I'd like to talk about the summit itself. I think it's a step on the right way. So we've been waiting for such collective work. Okay, I know some people, they've been waiting for something, you know, much more stronger, okay, as an outcome of this summit. However, okay, I think we need to take, like, okay, if you don't mind, like incremental steps. I know people, as they've been witnessing the situation in Gaza and the West Bank, they want, like, prompt action.
Sever diplomatic ties.
Okay, abrupt action, right away action.
Sever economic ties.
Exactly.
Take Israel to the International Criminal Court, to The Hague.
Which I wouldn't disagree with. Okay, I think this makes sense. However, we need to consider a very important fact that this is not simple, because actually Israel and the Arab world, and we shouldn't forget as well about a huge factor, which is the United States of America, and the role that is being playing in fully supporting, wholeheartedly supporting Tel Aviv. So I think in my mind, okay, that it was a step, a huge step, a crucial step. I wouldn't say actually a huge thing, okay, but in my mind it was a step, a required one, a highly required one, because I think since 1950s and 1960s, we have been waiting for such collective action. We want to see that collective action. 1950s, 1960s, you know, and President Nasser, and then what happened in 1973 as the different Arab countries, they came together and joined forces. I think Israel is very much freaked out of this moment that Arabs would come together, Arab and Islamic countries. This is a huge moment we've been waiting for. However, we shouldn't hassle for this. That's in my mind. If we want like some coherent, something like solid action, we need actually study everything very thoroughly, because any step which is not fully calculated, so we should do our math first. I strongly believe in this. Do it first, and then take the first step, and then second step, and third step. We shouldn't rush into whatever direction without fully studying the situation first.
Yes,
this is very crucial.
We understand, but again, the public, the public in Arab and Muslim countries, I guess they wanted to hear, like, okay, a joint Arab defense pact, a joint Islamic defense pact, or cut all diplomatic relations, recall ambassadors, expel ambassadors, take the war crime suspect, Israeli Prime Minister, to the International Court of Justice, join the South African case, or make a new case and go with it. This is what the public wanted to hear.
Once again, I wouldn't disagree. Once again, I totally agree with this. And these are feasible, actually, steps on the way. However, on the other hand, the whole situation is so complex. It's not that easy. It's like, to me, like, it's so entangled, the whole situation in the Arab and Islamic world, especially with countries, okay, they have direct relations with Israel. Okay, but what I really want to highlight is what Mr. President has said.
Yes.
I think it's really strong. The words are very straightforward. Okay, it's undisputably clear.
So pick for us what you spotted in the speech, what you want to highlight from the speech.
One thing which I find it very important, and that's about the overall speech, that it was, like, clear. Okay, it was straightforward, as I said. Okay, it was from Egypt, and I mean it. That's why the message that was sent by this speech to Tel Aviv, I think that was very crucial to the people of Israel, especially Mr. President, for the first time addressing the people of Israel,
right,
not actually addressing the government of Israel.
Right.
Because I think now, I don't think that we are on the same page nowadays, unfortunately.
We're not. And Foreign Minister Abdul Ati said yesterday in a in an interview with Al-Ahram Online and Al-Ahram regular newspaper, that Egypt and Israel have a different vision, a totally different vision for the future of the region.
Definitely, yes. And this is, I think, that's a crucial moment in our modern history, because actually, you know, Camp David Accords, 1979 to today, okay, and once again, I like to highlight this and emphasize it once again, we are a peace-loving nation. We don't seek any sort of conflicts in the region. We have never done it. We will not do this. However, on the other hand, when it comes to our national security, and that's why Mr. President was clear, we're like steadfast when it comes to this, when it comes to our security, actually, you know, and national security of the country, I think that is an uncompromising thing. We're not doing anything that would go against this. Breaching this is not allowed. Violating this is not allowed. The problem to me, and it was very clear in Mr. President's speech,
yes,
that we have been warning you. It was very clear in his message. We've been telling you since October 8th. And this is something which is very crucial as well in my mind.
That Camp David is a threat. All peace treaties in the region are a threat. All future potential accords are a threat.
This is very clear. What I'm trying to say is that, okay, October 8th, still today, we have been telling you, we have been warning you. And the problem is that sometimes Israel doesn't take it seriously, and I mean it. And actually, they don't know about Egypt. Maybe I think they have forgotten about Egypt. I'm sorry to put it this way. No, we should act. It's like constantly reminding them, that's Egypt. And they would go very mad that they see that Egypt is strengthening the army and buying the latest weapons from around the world, okay? And I think Mr. President was very clear about this, okay? And as you said, we are talking about peace. We mean peace. We need just peace. And we're not tolerating that you would try to destroy the Palestinian cause. And we, like the status quo, the de facto, you know, and what I'm afraid of, once again, and it was very clear in, you know, Mr. President's speech, that what we are not allowing anything that you would dream of like Greater Israel. No way. I think it was very clear.
Absolutely.
Okay, because we're talking about 6 countries, you know, their dream, okay, 6 countries, 1 million square kilometer, okay, the tree shaping, you know, the Middle East.
Yeah, well, I guess that's how that Egypt's vision for the region is totally different from that of Israel, or at least the current government, the hawks, the rightists.
The war criminals.
Yeah, the war crime suspects, exactly. So, Dr. Momtaz, we didn't hear of an Arab Joint Defense Pact or an Islamic Joint Defense Pact, yet we heard very recently about a Saudi-Pakistani Joint Defense Pact. What do you make of that?
Once again, okay, a couple of minutes ago I said that incremental steps. Okay, and I don't mean incremental statistically speaking or mathematically speaking. I mean that steps, okay, on the way that we get together, we gather together.
And a joint Arab force was a call by the president himself like more than 10 years ago, right?
And once again, okay, that Israel actually, you know, they've been talking about this. And they are very much afraid of this because they know how crucial that thing and how forceful that thing is. That's why they're very much scared of that kind of initiative from Egypt. But once again, I'd like actually to go back to, okay, His Excellency's speech and try to connect it to what you said about Saudi Arabia, the pact with Pakistan.
Yes, please do. And also, what seems to be a closer ties between the Arab world and Iran at the moment, be it with Egypt or Saudi Arabia. And we saw yesterday the Crown Prince receiving the Supreme Leader's representative.
Exactly. You know, I like actually, you know, that kind of approach that you're putting, because it's about, once again, as I said, that it's different initiatives, even if we see it like smaller ones, but I think the dots are coming together now. We see like different pieces in a puzzle, and actually the pieces are coming together to form a picture that unformidable is strong. So I think it's very crucial for the moment that we see actually Saudis and Pakistanis. They are talking about, okay, that kind of initiative that would help them defend each other. And we see actually, for example, you know, the Gulf states, of course, that's very important as well. And the assault, let me actually talk about, okay, when you're talking about Iran, I'd like to go back to Qatar and what happened to Qatar.
Yes, please.
Okay, because Israel is whenever they talk about the situation in the Middle East, they always actually pose Iran as that's the most threatening
The
thing.
pariah, yeah.
Okay, the pariah state. And once again, I insist, before 1978, 1979, Iran and the new regime over there, okay, that how was it like about the situation in Palestine? As if out of nowhere, it's now Iran, okay, it's the main reason and the main source of that kind of conflict. So Iran, okay, and I'm not arguing over this for now, by the way. Okay, I'm not discussing this. But we see the approach, the very recent approach, as Egypt, you know, and the mediating role that they played between Iran
with the IAEA.
With the IAEA. And this is, I think that's very important as well. So
it is.
I think Egypt, you know, it's like it's paying off, you know. Okay, because actually, you know, we've been waiting for that moment. Now we see Egypt and the relations between Egypt and Turkey.
Right. I was just going to ask you about Turkey, because Turkey is a big factor in the equation, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of parcel. Okay, it's an integral part, integral component of the whole region. We see the relations between Egypt and Turkey. Okay, relations between Egypt and Iran, relations between Egypt and Qatar. Okay, we still recall, I think that happened a couple of days ago, Egypt delivered one of the strongest speeches at the Security Council. Even, you know, he shook hand, you know, the Qatari Prime Minister. Okay, because actually, you know, they shook hands because it was very clear. Even the tone, I still recall it. You know, it's very important. You're not just delivering a message. You're not saying some words. Egypt was very clear. And back once again to Iran, Turkey, and Qatar. We still recall, you know, the relation between Egypt and these three countries 10 years ago, okay, or since 2013. I think, once again, it's paying off. The vision of Egypt is right. It's clear. It's on the right path, on the right track.
Dr. Momtaz, is there a risk now for the Palestinians in Gaza that are being, you know, transferred from the main city of Gaza and being again killed every day, and killed in queue lines waiting for food distribution, and killed inside their tents, and killed out of hunger and starvation? Is there a risk that this current stalemate would prolong for much bigger time, because it's almost 2 years now, and time is crucial? But we've heard the war crime suspect Israeli Prime Minister saying that, you know, I think he was talking to US President Donald Trump, or that we shouldn't expect any potential peace deals now, or any potential ceasefire deals now, be it partial or complete. I mean, this is going to continue until in his words, Netanyahu's words, they defeat Hamas and they, you know,
they get done.
They get some sort of what they will call a victory, or want to portray as a victory.
He has been trying to do that for 2 years. Okay, and I think we need to ask him, okay, you've done it, you know, you're done with Hamas. I think he won't be able to do this. You know, that's a far-reaching dream.
Well, just today, 4 Israeli soldiers were killed in Gaza.
Yeah.
And 2 Israelis were killed at a crossing point in the West Bank, just 5 kilometers from the border with Jordan.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
it's not paying off.
Where is the security?
Strategically speaking, in my mind, you know, and he has been, you know, word by even, you know, strategists and even experts that you want to be able to make it. Okay, Hamas actually is very much ready for this. Okay, and on the other side, Israel themselves, they don't want actually this. You know, he is not listening even to his people. And I wonder myself, if you keep on bragging about your country is a democracy and the only democracy in the Middle East, they have been bragging about this. Is that the kind of democracy that we've been seeing in Israel? You're not listening even to the Israeli people. You have been actually continuing in that war endlessly.
What about security to the Israeli people? And I think the president mentioned this in his speech, and former President Mubarak used to mention this a lot of times. This will not bring security to the Israelis. The only thing that can bring security is just and comprehensive peace based on a 2-state solution, international legitimacy, UN resolutions, viable independent Palestine Palestinian state, borders of 67, East Jerusalem, Al-Quds as the capital. That's the only thing that will bring peace to security to the Israelis. And resistance, allow me to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Momtaz, it's not just Hamas. And that person who killed today the 2 Israelis 5 kilometers from the border between Jordan and the West Bank is not a Hamas member. I mean, and a lot of these operations that occur in the West Bank or inside Israel or even in Gaza does not come from Hamas. Comes from sometimes a solo or independent layman who wants to get revenge,
exactly.
who sees his country or his land being occupied and his people being killed for no reason, and so he takes out revenge. That's it.
Totally agree. And once again, I'd like to ask, Israelis and, the recent government about their perception of security. I don't really get it. I really like history. When I see history from 1948 till today, I don't really get how they see security and how they perceive security and their perception of security. What is security to Israel? Okay, and is it like when you force your will on others, of your neighbors, and then you turn it from peace into submission? We will not allow this. That kind of submissive attitude, we are not submissive. And we will not allow this. Yeah, we are, a peace-loving nation, but we will not allow this by all means.
And the Palestinians won't allow this.
By all measures. They have been suffering for decades now. They have never given up. And this is something very important.
And they won't give up.
They won't.
Thank you very much, Dr. Milad Momtaz, international relations expert, as always, for your time and your insight.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, dear viewers, for watching us. Please stay with Nile TV.